Hey student, grammar in use lesson. How to use how come when making questions in English. I'm going to show you this lesson. It's going to be simple and efficient so that you can start using this really nice expression, how come. When asking questions in English, the question changes a little and I'm going to show you, I'm going to give you examples. So if it's your first time here, well, thank you so much. I appreciate it. I am Teacher Prix and I'm going to help you talk to anyone, anywhere, anytime in English. Make sure to subscribe to my channel because every week I post different kinds of English lessons to help you become a better and more confident English speaker. If you have already subscribed, you're the best. Now hit that like button, huh? Now guys, how come? We are going to learn how to use how come. And in this channel, here on my channel, I help specific students, okay? I help pre-intermediate and intermediate students to go from stuck to speaking in 6 months. These are the students I help, okay? And if you watching me right now want to change that, if you want to improve your English skills, speak more confidently, understand people in English, remember the words, well, you will need to keep on studying grammar. Yes, you gotta continue working on grammar, no matter what your level is. And you will learn, oh, here's the explanation is incorrect because I forgot to change it. But to learn a lesson, I must use it. I always tell that to my babies, my BSA from my academy, my online program. This morning before coming here, I was correcting my babies' examples. That's basically my job. That's basically what I do. I go on the platform, I correct my students' examples using the grammar they learn and review. So in this lesson, at the end of this lesson, I invite you to do the same. Post examples here in the comments, okay? But that being said, quick review. Why do I need to do a quick review about why? Why? Because it's important, okay? They are different. They express similar ideas, but they're different in structure, in essence. But basically, when I use the word why, the question word why, tell them that it's human nature. Why does he do me that way if they say why? Anyway, so when you want an explanation to understand the reason for something, you ask why. I need an explanation. Tell me more. I have many songs. I think of a word, I think of a song. I'm sorry. This is what I do here on my channel with my babies. I can't help it. I can't control myself. So quick review, okay? This is I imagine you already know it. But why do you study English? Well, because I need to speak English at work. So I'm giving the explanation, I'm giving the reason why I study English. So in questions, do, does, did, will, would, so in present, past, future, when I'm using verb to be, when I'm using modal verbs, when I'm using present perfect, the structure changes a little. And I have many videos here on my channel where I focus on questions, where I teach different kinds of English questions. So make sure to check it out, okay? But, as I said, when asking questions, one quick review again, the verb goes back to base form, and you usually need an auxiliary verb. Exceptions, modal verbs, and to be. So here, guys, what am I trying to say? When you ask a question, why do you study English? Why did you watch a movie last night? So the verbs don't change, they go back to base form, unless it's verb to be or a modal verb. Then we have some exceptions. But in general, we teach students that when asking questions, we don't change the verb, okay? If it's past, we don't change the verb to the past conjugation. Did, watched, bought. No, we use the base form, bought, buy, stopped, stop. We don't change the verb in questions, with exceptions of verb to be, modal verbs, okay? Why am I giving this explanation? And here I posted a few more examples, okay? Why are you leaving now? Why didn't Susie call me? Why aren't you going to why aren't you going to move to Australia? Why are your parents angry? Why can't you stay? Why does she always take my earpods? Do you have someone who does that to you? Always taking your your earpods? So annoying, isn't it? So here, if you pay attention, the verbs are not conjugated. Okay, why didn't Susie call? Call is the base form without to. Exception, verb to be. Okay, why does she always take my earpods? Why can't you stay? With modal verb can, I don't use do, I don't use does, I use can. So you see, I change the position. I use the auxiliary verb first, and then the subject, a pronoun or the name of a person or an object that becomes the subject. That's what we do. That's what we usually do in questions. That changes a little when we use how come? How come? How come? How come? Pay attention to the intonation. I may be exaggerating a little. What? How come? But when you use how come, you also want to know why. You want to know the reason why. Just give me a reason. Yo, and I need to drink water. I forgot to do my warm-up. My voice warm-up. So when I don't do that, this happens to me. So how come is informal, okay? Remember that. How come is more informal than why. Why is the standard? How come is informal. So here, you will also use it. You will also use how come to know the reason for something, okay? Why? It means why. In many cases, when you use how come, you express surprise. Surprise. So that's why I told you to focus on the intonation. Dude, you're expressing surprise. So you gotta show with your tone of voice that you are a little bit surprised. Okay? So you see how I changed my intonation now to make you pay attention to me. Dude, you gotta show you're surprised. Okay? So how come? How come you're not going? Come on, man. How come you're not spending the weekend with us? Come on. We want you there. Come with us. So you need to change a little. You don't need to exaggerate. I was just trying to get your attention, okay? But it's important to change your intonation a little bit because you're expressing surprise. What? She's not going? How come? How come she's not going? We've been planning this for a month and she's not coming? I can't believe it. I'm going to call her right now. But this can't be true. So you see, now I am more moderate. I'm not using my typical, oh my God, how come? My high-pitched voice. Okay, I'm not doing that. But I can show surprise and I should. Especially if you are surprised. That's why I want to emphasize this here. If you're not surprised, if it's just a question, oh, why? You know, don't use how come, okay? Stick to why. Now, an example. Now I'm going to use all my acting skills. How come you are not a BSA in my academy? What? How come? Why aren't you a BSA, a student in my academy? I am shocked. I am surprised. You are not a baby in my academy. So how come you are not a BSA in my academy? Dude, I opened registration yesterday. How come you're not a BSA? Well, I don't know when you're watching this video, but if you're watching the day it was released, I opened registration. So this is just an example to show surprise, okay? Maybe I'm talking to a follower and by message and he says, oh, teacher, I've watched all your lessons. I'm so excited. And I'm like, oh, are you a BSA? No, teacher. What? How come you're not a BSA in my academy? I can't believe it. So I can change my intonation a bit and use how come if I am surprised. Okay, surprise. Now, guys, make sure to hit the like button. Support the channel by liking and subscribing. You know, subscribing also helps. Sharing. You know, every time you share my lesson, you are saving So, no, seriously, you're helping another student because you spread the word that, hey, this is an interesting lesson. You should check it out. So you really support the channel. I also mention in every video that I make in the morning that I have an amazing study plan cycle. This is not my academy, okay? But it's a very efficient study plan that will help you organize your study routine and know how to have a more organized study plan. My academy is open for registration this week. I don't know when you're watching this though, okay? So make sure to check information in my bio, here in the description of this video. But all I can ask from you really is just like, and let's keep going, right? Now, structure, how come? Compare. I want you to take a look at this. Guys, how come you're not a BSA in my academy? How come? How come? Now, why aren't you a BSA in my academy? Take a look at the other one. How come you don't like pizza? Dude, what's wrong with you? So maybe I'm at a restaurant with some friends and we order pizza and someone in our group is like, oh no, I don't want pizza. Thanks. I'll get a salad. I'll have a salad, excuse me. And I can look at my friend and it's like, dude, you're ordering a salad at a pizza joint? Really? Yeah, I don't like pizza. Whoa, how come you don't like pizza? What's wrong with you? Now, with why? Why don't you like pizza? So, maybe you spotted the difference. Maybe not. It's okay. But when I use how come, I conjugate everything. I didn't post an example here, but in the past, maybe to make this clear. But when I use how come, I make the rest of my phrase of my question as a phrase in affirmative or negative. So if it's a question in the simple past, you went to the movies without me, okay? You went to the movies alone and you didn't invite me. You didn't call me, so I am shocked. And I'm like, how come you went to the movies without me? Come on, man. We love watching movies together. So how come you went to the movies without me? You betrayed me. Yo. Now with why. You went to the movies without me? Why did you go to the movies without me? So here I use did. Why did you go? And go, base form. But if I use how come you went to the movies without me? You went affirmative. You went to the movies without me. And I changed the intonation. How come you went to the movies without me? Without me? So I can play with my intonation here, but it's just to show you the difference. When I use how come, I conjugate as if it's affirmative or negative phrase. Oh, Peter doesn't like your food. How come Peter doesn't like my food? He's always here eating my food. What's wrong with him? So you see, how come Peter doesn't like? So Peter doesn't like is a negative phrase. Peter doesn't like my food. It's the same sequence. I only add how come at the beginning. How come Peter doesn't like my food? I don't make any changes. I maintain a negative phrase. So now look at why. Why doesn't Peter? Doesn't Peter? I change. Doesn't Peter like my food? I use the standard way to ask questions. I change the positions between auxiliary verb and the subject. So that is an important difference, okay? So here are more examples. How come you didn't watch my Fluent in 6 workshop last week? I'm shocked. So last week is over. It's gone. Dust in the wind, as I said before. So how come you didn't watch my Fluent in 6 workshop? I am devastated. My goodness. How come you don't like traveling? Come on, you don't like traveling? How come? And guys, one important thing, if you're having a conversation and someone says something shocking, Oh, I'm not going to move. I'm not going to college. How come? You don't need to continue, okay? You can stop at how come. It means why? How come? Okay? So it's also possible to stop at how come and not make the complete sentence, okay? Unless it's clear by context what you want to know, okay? If there's no context, then it's a little difficult. But if the person said something, gave an explanation, oh, I'm not moving anymore. How come? You bought a new house. You quit your job. You're not moving anymore? How come? So I gave a context. Maybe I know that my friend is moving. He quit his job. He sold his house. Then he meets me and says, I'm not moving anymore. How come? Okay, so that is also possible. So there you go. I created my examples. Now you should create your examples because to learn a lesson, I must use it. So post some examples with how come, share this video with a friend. But other than that, my friends, I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.